What's up, everyone? Today, we're diving into an epic conversation I had with Robert Kiyosaki. And there's so much to unpack from financial literacy to fake assets, spirituality, even, and why you should invest in real assets like real estate. So let's do this. The podcast with Robert Kiyosaki, it was a very interesting conversation because you may not know this about Robert, but he's been changing a lot. Now, when you read his books, you can clearly tell that he cares about financial literacy. He's really fed up with our school system. He's really fed up with our government, really. But more importantly than that, he's talked more and more about spirituality and the importance of that. And for example, on the cruise, he would get up on stage and he would say, well, I don't care if gold goes to 400 or 10,000. It's currently at 1,500, right? So whether it's boom or bust, I don't care. And I was like, I told him, I said, Robert, that's easy for you to say because you're loaded, right? And we had a little chuckle about that. But honestly, the way he is right now in his life is what he really means by he doesn't care which way is this. It's the ultimate form of being where he's at peace no matter what happens. And in our personal lives as well as mine, this is something that I had to learn from the restaurant debacle, is that sometimes you can't control things, and sometimes things can actually get worse. And what do you do about that? Does it sink you into depression? Does it paralyze you with fear? Or do you get to a place like I did where the only option you have is to accept what is and to be at peace with it because you can't change it anyway? And I think this is some place that Robert is as well, and that's what he was talking about. So on the interview, we actually talk about spirituality a lot. So it may be quite a bit different than interviews that you may have heard with Robert. And this is a good point about spirituality, right? Because where do you get your strength from? And so for me, it is my faith and my spirituality. It's where I go back to, and to me, being able to be calm in times of when there's a challenging environment, I think is actually key, because when you're paralyzed with fear, you can't act, right? So you have to have some kind of place to go to so you can become more or be calm. And I think this is really really important. And I think as we mature with people, we are able to tolerate much higher levels of stress. So figure out what is it for you where you can actually stay relatively calm even though there's a storm around you, because that allows you to make better decisions. And that's what it's all about, being able to make good decisions no matter what's happening around you.
Well, contrary to popular belief, the military is a very spiritual organization, at least the Marine Corps is. And today we have the Navy SEALs. The best of the best are spiritual organizations. And there's weaker organizations in the military, as you know. But the higher level a person gets in as far as combat goes, the closer you come to the inevitable, life and death. So when I left high school in 1965, I got appointments to Naval Academy and Merchant Marine Academy in New York. And the academies all start with the military service academies all start with one word: the mission. What is your mission? That's the word missionaries come from that. So there's missionaries of God and there's missionaries of the military. And so the first word I learned at U.S. Merchant Marine Academy is what's the mission? And that's spiritual. In the Marine Corps, it's what's the mission? And then so I went into the military. I went to Kings Point for 4 years and then 5 years of the Marine Corps flying in Vietnam. And I finally came out into the real world, as a civilian. And I found out there really is no mission but except to make money. Screw them before they screw you. And a lot of companies talk about mission and all that, but I really haven't seen many that had the mission capabilities or the culture of the U.S. Marine Corps. But also while I was in Vietnam, I kind of had a run-in a good way, with the first U.S. Navy SEALs I ever saw. And those Navy SEALs run on the spirituality of what's their mission. And a lot of people think it's about God and service and country. It's not even that high. The mission is to bring your fellow man home.
Really interesting, right? The whole conversation is actually really interesting about spirituality and now mission. And really it goes to, what is your mission, right? Because if you have a mission, you have a very strong why, because it connects you to something bigger. And so if you just want to make money or be rich or although some self-serving thing, it's not as strong, in my opinion, as a mission that typically involves other people or something greater than you. So, what's your mission, right? If you want to become financially free, besides you being able to buy a bunch of stuff and take a bunch of, trips or whatever, what is your mission? What is your purpose? And it could be something related to your family, or it could be something related to your extended family, or it could be something greater still. And this is a developing thing. I'm just saying, what could that mission be for you? Like if you had enough money to cover your living expenses, you don't have to work for a living anymore. What would that enable you to do? What kind of mission could you develop from that? So for me, the idea of helping others create financial freedom really lights me up, right? That's kind of what I do. That's kind of been my current mission, is to help people achieve that thing so that they can actually answer the question, what is my mission? So for you, what is your mission? Is that something that can drive you forward and keep you on track as you not only become financially free, but then build essentially a generational legacy?
A bunch of teachers.
Now, Robert, you have a book coming out called Fake.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. What was on your heart when you wrote that?
Well, fake is about fake money, fake teachers, and fake assets. And it goes more in depth than Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Well, as you know, I'm an apartment house investor. That's a real asset, because every month those little apartments, man, they put a lot of money in my pocket. I think I have about 7,000 units, plus hotels, plus oil wells and all that. And I have real assets. What Wall Street is selling people are fake assets. 401ks, IRAs, mutual funds, and all that. So you go to the definition of the word, and the word became flesh and dwelt amongst us from the Bible. An asset puts money in your pocket. Wall Street takes money from your pocket. They sell you 401ks, IRAs, mutual funds, ETFs, savings. They just suck cash from your pocket. And they sell you a piece of real estate saying, oh, your house is an asset. I mean, they lie point blank to you. I think the only thing worse than the school teachers are financial planners. They're some of the most uneducated people I've ever met, these financial planners. In 6 weeks, you can be a financial planner. It takes 4 years to become a school teacher, at least. So I'm a Marine. I call it as I see it. I kind of find it entertaining. So one is fake assets, fake teachers are. When I came back from Vietnam, my poor dad wanted me to get my PhD like him. PhD stands for poor, helpless, and desperate. So I thought I'd just keep him happy and get my MBA. So I went to the MBA, the program at the University of Hawaii. The first guy I run into is a fake school teacher. And this guy's teaching me accounting. And here I am sitting there in my Marine pilot's outfit. I'm getting spit on by the students because everybody hated the military back in the 60s and 70s.
So this is classic Robert Kiyosaki, right? He's absolutely right. Real estate, when managed well, is kind of the ultimate real asset. Now, I don't know, it's a little strong to say that the stock market is fake. Okay, I know what he's trying to say. What he's trying to say is value is really in real assets. And you can see that when inflation was at 9%, you could see actually what is a real asset and what is not, right? So obviously cash is not a real asset because it lost value as inflation went up. Gold, on the other hand, while a bit delayed, did actually now increase substantially as the inflation went up because it's a real asset, right? As I say, an ounce of gold, back in 1910 bought you a really nice suit. And today, an ounce of gold will buy you a really nice suit. And because it's a real asset. And it's the same thing with real estate. When inflation was at 9%, rents went up by like 25%, right? Because it's a real asset. It's not something that's a derivative or cash, et cetera. And so I think this is what he's saying is buy stuff that are real assets.
Yeah. So in 1972, I'm flying in Vietnam. And I said, I wonder what gold looks like. It's kind of hard to imagine this. In 1971 and 2, it was illegal for Americans to own gold. So being a curious mind, I said, why is it illegal for us to own gold? And what does gold look like? Because I didn't know what it looked like. None of us could own it because we went to jail if we owned gold. They would confiscate it from us. So I decided I'd go find what gold was. So the book Fake starts with me flying behind enemy lines because the lines had shifted. What was once American lines was now behind enemy lines. We were losing the war. We all knew we had lost, And I go behind the lines and I find this little woman selling gold for the Vietnamese gold mine. So I had to park my helicopter. We disarmed. We showed the villagers we're unarmed. We came in with hands up. We said we came as capitalists, not Marines. I just came to buy some gold, you know. So we go to the mining store, and I thought because it was behind enemy lines, I could get a discount. So let's say that day gold was 35 an ounce, but now it's about $50 an ounce. So I thought I could get it for maybe 40, you know, $10 discount. And this little old lady with red teeth, because she ate betel nuts, you know, they all had red teeth. She just cracked up. She says, huh, "You want a discount?" I said, "Lady, you're behind enemy lines, and I got U.S. dollars." She says, "Yeah, but I got gold." And I went, "Well, who do you think you are?" And she looked at me. Who do you think? You know, it was just silent communication. And she turned out to be one of my best teachers in my whole life. She taught me something important. Gold is money. All over the world, gold is gold. That day, all over the world, the spot price was, say, $50. You know, today it's about $1,300.
So this story is wild, right? I mean, he's got an amazing run-in with gold. Imagine risking everything to understand the true value of gold, which he now does. And that is a real asset. A lot of people don't like gold for a variety of different reasons because it doesn't produce cash flow, which is true. And you're still paying taxes on the gains, which is also true. But one thing is, it's a real asset, meaning that over time, gold has always gone up and kept track with inflation as well.
Thank you. Well, keep up the good work, you know, because I love real estate. To me, real estate, well managed, well financed, is a real asset. A mutual fund is not. So thank you very much.
Well, amen to that, right? Real estate is not just about the cash flow. It's a vehicle to really, really build wealth, generate cash flow, get tax benefits as well. So figure out how to get into the game. We have so many cool, good content for you. Check it all out and figure out how you can get involved.